Hello, I'm Charlotte. Today I want to talk about BS7858, a screening standard many organisations say they follow, but far fewer truly understand. If you work in HR, compliance or security, you have almost certainly heard of BS7858. You may even feel confident that your organisation is compliant. But most BS7858 audit failures do not happen because organisations ignore the standard. They happen because organisations misunderstand what the standard is actually trying to achieve. BS7858 is not a checklist. It is not about ticking boxes, and it is not a guarantee that risk has been removed. In practice, BS7858 is a framework for managing trust, access, and risk for people placed into sensitive roles. The standard exists because, historically, organisations focused on completing checks rather than thinking carefully about decisions. When something goes wrong, auditors do not just ask whether checks were done, they ask why a decision was made, what risks were considered, and what evidence supports that judgment. This is where many organisations are caught out. On paper, files often look fine, policies exist, checks appear complete, references are present, but audits do not measure intention, they measure evidence, consistency, and reasoning. One of the most common weaknesses under BS7858 is employment history verification. Many organisations rely heavily on what an applicant states on their CV. Others place too much trust in references provided by the applicant. In practice, one of the most reliable ways to cross-reference employment history is the applicant's HMRC employment history, where appropriate. This provides an objective record that can be checked against what the applicant has declared. When this is not done, gaps, overlaps, and inconsistencies are often missed. References are another area where organisations create risk without realising it. Under BS7858, references are not a formality, they are a risk control. Best practice is never to rely solely on contact details provided by the applicant. Organisations should independently source the employer's contact information, verify that the organisation exists, and confirm that the person giving the reference is authorised to do so. Verbal confirmation matters. Email alone is rarely enough. These issues often feel minor at the time. Hiring pressure exists. Roles need to be filled quickly. But later, when decisions are examined under audit or investigation, confidence disappears because reasoning and evidence are missing. BS7858 is not trying to eliminate risk. That is impossible. It is trying to ensure risk is identified, considered, and recorded before access is granted. What matters is not whether a process was followed, but whether an organisation can clearly explain why a decision made sense at the time it was taken. That explanation needs evidence. Everything I am describing here is guidance and advice based on real operational experience, not legal advice. Across nearly 2 decades of screening operations, the most serious failures were rarely caused by bad intent. They were caused by unclear judgment, undocumented reasoning, and misplaced confidence. This is exactly why people use Charlotte. Charlotte exists to help organisations think clearly about screening risk before it becomes a problem. That includes BS7858, but also related areas such as right-to-work checks, employment history validation, reference reliability, and audit readiness. Charlotte does not replace human judgment. She helps make judgment calmer, clearer, and more defensible. If BS7858 feels straightforward on paper, but complicated in practice, you are not alone. I hope this explains a bit more about what the standard is really trying to achieve and why organisations are often challenged on it later. We will discuss BS7858 in more depth in other videos, including specific checks, evidence expectations, and how decisions are examined under audit and investigation. Thank you for watching.